we're going to come out of that at the end of the half hour. And I haven't done this in a half hour before, so I'm trying to condense a lot of stuff into a short amount of time. So kind of bear with me. I'm going to be time checking and speeding up if I need to, all right? So how many of you guys are having an agile transformation? It's everywhere, right? Okay, how many of you having a lean transformation? Yeah? Okay. Any product transformations? Yeah. Okay, all right, good. How many of you guys are bringing in consultant companies to help you with your agile transformations? Or, okay, all right. So, we've had Agile for 20 years since the manifesto, and this is kind of where we're at, right? We have lots of big things with lots of big processes and roadmaps to get here and there, and these workflows you got to go through. Lots of places for people to hide, if you will. I would say lots of places for the organization to fit people into something without having to do the hard things, which come with organizational design. Having to change your organization. Change is great, but don't change me, right? So we mitigate accountability with these types of tools. The only people benefiting from these really are the consultants that come in, and the framework makers, and the coaching institutes that have coaches. And I happen to be one of them. I did 20 years of consulting. I have a very technical background. Started with building classified software for the government, went into consulting, ended up at USAA as a consultant. I joined the company. So those folks are getting rich, and we're not getting much out of it as companies, right? So I look at this as we have a new normal. I call it process theater, right? It's doing Agile has become the thing. All these roles and all these processes, and this one person only has a few things that they're responsible for and they're accountable for, because we got a lot of layers and a lot of people, and we got to give them all something to do, right? So let's look at some of these. Point normalization. Well, we want to predict, right? Agile's not about predicting, but we made it about predicting. We want to normalize the points across all of our teams so we can predict. What that leads to is now we have to look down our backlogs so that we can estimate. It's not any better than it used to be in waterfall, right? How many of you guys have centers of excellence? Yeah. I would expect if we have centers of excellence that we're excellent at what we're the center of, right? So don't man your centers of excellence with PMO people. Those project managers or the program project management office folks aren't the right people to do this because they don't know what they're doing. They can't see what they can't see. They don't know what they don't know, right? Top-down, process-heavy, prescriptive rules. Yeah, frameworks. Got to have prescription. We got to have metrics, consistent metrics across everyone, right? All these things. Compliance. Oh, everybody's different, right? No, we're all the same, right? We're a bank, financial institute. We have compliance, regulatory. Recorded demos. Our product owners are so busy, they don't have time to go to the demos, right? Especially if you have large teams and they're over large teams. They have a day job. They forgot that it's really a full-time job. That is their job, is to own this, right? So we dial it in. We send them videos. We miss out on a feedback loop. How do they know? How do the teams know what's good or bad? They didn't check in. Business is good. It's an IT problem. You gotta fix IT. Hey, you guys are all smiling and laughing. We make up roles. Someone talked yesterday about Conway's Law. That's absolutely true. We make up roles. In our organization, we have associate product owners. We have development product owners, because the associate product owners are on the business side, and the development product owners are on the IT side. So they don't really talk that much. We have experience owners, because we want to focus on experiences. Experiences are great. Don't organize around them, though, because they come and go. I'll quote, one of our executives recently said to me, we want to get 18 experiences completed by the end of next year. That's great. So you're doing project management, right? So we can't leave our teams together. We organize around experiences. We're not leaving our teams together long enough to be high performing. How can they be high performing? We keep pulling them apart and reassembling them over and over. Fake customers, back to the product owner thing. Business is too busy. They've got business stuff to do. They're just too busy to talk to the development teams. You know, anybody familiar with Gemba? Get up from behind your desk and go out to the floor. Go to where your teams are. Go sit with them, talk to them. Okay? Fake customers. Managing cross-team dependencies instead of removing them. So we have big room planning for anybody doing SAFe or program increments. We have big room planning. We got all of our teams layered in swim lanes, and then we beat these red strings of yarn, and we connect all the strings to all the work because they're dependencies. When in fact, we could just remove them, right? We could make things go faster if we just take out the dependencies, but that might be too hard. One-size-fits-all frameworks, because obviously every team develops software the same way, right? Development teams work in bubbles. What I mean by that is we don't do support on the team. I don't know, we got to keep those guys creating value, right? Support is something else. Somebody else does support, right? Well, we're missing a feedback loop. If our development teams are releasing crappy code to the customer, shouldn't we tell them why it was crappy? If they don't fix it, they don't feel that pain, they're not going to know. They're going to keep building crappy code, right? Organization design problems are ignored while we explore scaling problems, right? We have a scaling problem. We don't want to fix our organization dysfunction. We have all these silos everywhere. Well, how do we fix it? Oh, it's a scaling problem. Agile health checks. Anybody have those? So you're healthy. Your teams are healthy because of how far they can plan in advance, which means they have to spend time looking down their backlog of things they might not even do, and that's called healthy. So you give them a metric, they're going to do everything they can to meet that metric and make it go up because they look good. Well, the last one here. 17.5 pages to define Scrum, yet we have hundreds of books with hundreds of pages. It's not that complicated. So let's look at it from a different angle. We have different perspectives. Version 1's Annual State of Agile Survey, 2011 or 2017, they have a vested interest to make it look good, right? Just say that. But clearly, everything is going great. 98% success. We're doing really, really well. But they only asked the people in IT. This is the 3%, C-level, on the business side. They asked 97%. It's all about the IT, so it looks great. But the reality is, companies are going out of business. There's a reason why they're going out of business, because they're not adapting, because they're not focused on their products, their companies, and the positioning of their products in the market. They're focused on process theater. It's Agile, Scrum, all this process stuff. So at some point, if business and IT don't work together on the same team, they're going to end up as a statistic as well. All right, so low fidelity slide. I'm a low fidelity guy. I like whiteboards. Agile can't make you great, right? What if you outsource? Do you have an Agile problem if you outsource? I don't know, depends. Do you integrate when you get it back? Maybe you could use some Agile. But if you don't have a need for Agile. So don't try to have a big transformation if you're outsourcing. There's no point. Agile's focused on building things. It has great ideas, values, and principles to build things really, really well. Optimize how you build things. Lean. Lean has great ideas to optimize your value stream. That's really what it comes down to. The end-to-end value stream, beginning all the way to production. Right? Lean is focused on giving you feedback. Get it to your customer as fast as you can. So we can build stuff really, really good, and we can deliver stuff really, really good, but what stuff should we be doing? Right? That's where product development comes in. How do you prioritize what you should be doing? Are you in tune with your customers and your market? And are you doing this thing instead of that because there's a reason strategically? I don't know. If you outsource your development, you could still get lots of value out of lean, reducing bottlenecks, excess process, waste. But you still have to pay attention to product development. You have to know what you're developing, why you're developing it. You have to justify that, or you should. Otherwise, you're just making a bunch of stuff. All right, so whether you outsource Agile or your development or not, you should be focused on optimizing your end-to-end value stream, because you want to get your best ideas out to your customer as fast as possible, because you want their feedback. Right? Anybody familiar with low-code platforms? The idea at all? Okay. So basically, anybody know what Visual Basic is? Remember point, drop down, clicks, all that stuff? It's like Visual Basic in 2017 on steroids, right? So it is saying, I have a tool and I can quickly change some UI, add some business logic, and put it in production. That's a low-code platform. So today's IT is going away. So you spend a lot of time and a lot of money and years doing transformations for all your Agile IT teams, but IT is changing, right? Now, for those in infrastructure doing DevOps, it's probably a little bit different. If you guys are the ones supporting these things, you're probably okay. But this is the idea that a technical person, or really a product manager perhaps, could be iterating through ideas in minutes. We could come together as a product management team and we can go through an idea from conception to UI to production, doing A/B testing, canary testing, getting feedback in minutes. What do you need IT for? You don't. So, time is your number one competitive factor. Right? Optimizing end-to-end value stream. Because time is what you're competing against from all your competitors. And you can't just go fast, because junk in, you're going to get junk out. If you put junk in the pipeline, that's what's going to come out. Get rid of your bottlenecks, including DevOps. Anybody familiar with systems thinking or theory of constraints? Yeah? All right. So, in theory of constraints, we identify bottlenecks, we swarm the bottleneck, we isolate it. Because what happens? Why do we do that? What happens to the next step in the process, past the bottleneck? Yeah. They're starved of work, right? So, think about this. If DevOps is your last step before your customers, right, getting something into production. If DevOps is your bottleneck, what does it mean? It means your customers are starved of getting stuff. So optimize it, fix it. That's why y'all are here. You want to automate, building, and deploying. That's great, it's all great things. Focus on an organizational agility, not agile. Right? At least I'll say today's agile. Continuous discovery. You have more chances of winning the more things you put in front of your customer, more times of getting it right. So get stuff out there really fast. So companies that compete on the basis of cost have a significant advantage over their competitors because they've optimized and removed waste from their system, and waste costs money, right? They have very low defect rates. They have very high quality. You know why? Because if they're fixing defects because of low quality, they're not building new valuable things. So if they're going really, really, really fast, that means they have really high quality. So don't make quality your focus. Make lead time your focus. Cycle time, lead time. Time. So with With the focus on time, you can take an experimental approach if you're going really, really fast. Try new ideas and see what works. All right, so we have these lots of ideas: lean, agile, customer, experience, delivery, product, all these things. People focus on those things. They kind of make a cottage industry out of these types of things. I just say we have lots of opportunities. So let's exploit those. As businesses, we should try to exploit those opportunities. Right? So how do we optimize product development? There's two key things from my perspective. You want to centralize your coordination, right? That supports the decentralized execution. So I want to give out commander's intent, and then I want to get out of the way and let my development teams do what they do best, right? And you want to maximize your high upside potential while minimizing your high downside risk, right? So taking a holistic view, I want to strategically align my priorities to the market, minimizing my risk. Right? So how do we do that? So centralized coordination and decentralized execution. You should become product-centric. Get a taxonomy. Stick with it. Be consistent with it. Organize around products. Products are long-term things. Fund your products. Fund the capacity of the teams that are aligned to your products, is what that means. If you've got 300 people in your organization for this particular product, you know how much they cost every year. Give them the money. Put a product management team in place to be the stewards of the money. Let them spend their capacity dollars how they see best, right? It's their job to go find out how to maximize the value of their product. So let them. Managers shouldn't be doing this. Managers should be managing people. That's what they should be doing. Growing their skills, dealing with impediments that the teams can't deal with, right? If the product management team needs more capacity, then they should go get that. That's what managers should be doing. Let the product management team own the products. Create one-to-end cross-functional product teams. This doesn't mean just development and QA. This means everybody. If it's ETL, databases, UX, front-end, back-end, business, whatever it is, put them on the team. All the skills. Just like the internet, we route packets instead of big chunky things, we split them up, put a little bit of identification data in them, and they go through all these different routes, and they get to the destination and assemble back together. It's the same thing with your value. Your value, you split it up, and you let your teams, your cross-functional teams, go execute. That's how you do it really fast. You don't want to have the UX team here and then the business logic team there. Now you've got queues, and queues are wasteful. Right? FIFO, first in, first out. Push decision-making down. Don't make them ask for permission. Don't make them stop. Right? When we send a SEAL team to a foreign country in the middle of the night, they don't call back and say, hey, we got a barbed wire fence here, what should we do? No, they cut it, or they swim, or they hike, or they kill people. They do whatever they have to do. They don't ask for permission. They just do what they do. So maximizing high upside potential and minimizing high downside risk. So if you have a product management team, your product-centric org, you should be focusing on your portfolio, right? Demand, capacity, funding. What is the performance of this? What is the market? Right? Take a holistic view. Why would you do this instead of that first? You should always maintain situational awareness. It's the 5 C's. You guys familiar with the 5 C's? Okay. So company, what's the company vision? What's our strategy? We should be aligned with that if that's our product and we're under the company, right? Customers should have customer relationship management in place. Some CRM practices. Focus on your customers. Back to the experiences. It's great. You should focus on experiences, but they're not the only thing. Competitors, competitor analysis, Kano model, strategy canvas, business model canvas, anybody? You can look them up. That's how you can decide. They help you score things to do. Collaborators, who are your suppliers? Right? Who are the people you depend on to deliver stuff? SRM practices. Climate, we're in financial, we have regulatory compliance, things we have to do. You should be aware of that. Your product management team should know these things. Diversify your investments. What type of risk? Long-term, short-term, near-term, far-term. What type of innovation? Is it core? Is it adjacent? Is it disruptive? What are the number of initiatives I want in the pipeline at the same time? Right? Remember Little's law. Your lead time is equivalent to the work in progress divided by your cycle time, or divided by your throughput. And you can reverse them, right? If I'm only getting 5 things done a week, why would I shove 10 on a team? Right? And lastly, and this is where the rubber meets the road, align strategic management and tactical execution. Have a vision, have a strategic plan, use demand management, have product reviews, have product portfolio reviews if you have a big portfolio. Right? Strategic plan, it translates strategic initiatives into actionable plans. So the roadmap, it's a communication tool. Right? So we have product management. We can maximize value. Now back to low fidelity, whiteboard. How do you put that together in a picture? So you should have a vision. You should have a strategy. You should communicate that strategy with a roadmap. You should have demand management. Your product management team gets together every week or 2 weeks. They manage demand, supply and demand problem. You only have so many people in your organizations to do the work, and you have lots of demand. You don't want all of those people with the demand pounding your Agile teams and disrupting them, for those that are doing Agile internally. They should be sending their demand to the product management team, and they should be getting together and talking about it. Is there new information or reasons why we want to change our strategy? Because we have a priority, an order that we want to do things in a sequence. Demand management loads the backlog of execution. Right? Everything in your team's backlog should come from some higher level strategic thing, roadmap. They should align. Otherwise, you ask development teams, go ask them on Monday when you get back. Why are you doing that? See what they tell you. Well, product owner said do that. Huh? Right? No, it should align to something strategically for the company. And for those of you that are outsourcing, now we're back to the title of the presentation, if you get rid of the Agile teams because you outsource, you still should do all of these other things. Right? These are feedback loops, checkpoints. There's a minimal set of checkpoints to help you. Oh, I got to really speed up. Product review, portfolio review. Strategically, your product management team, if you have multiple product lines, products, they should get together and strategically talk about the prioritization. And there's lots of things that input into it. So how do we apply this? I'm going to have to go fast. I got the warning. So at USAA, I've been working with an infrastructure organization. It would be easy enough to just talk about a line of business, a bank or insurance, right? I can create a product company out of insurance. It could be a product portfolio. I could have home, auto, life, disability. There could be my product lines, and I could have one of many products under there. But let's make it harder. Let's go to infrastructure, right? So infrastructure has customers. Those customers are the IT teams that are using it. They're not external, they're internal. But maybe you have external ones. It's the same principles apply though. And they have suppliers, the people in operations, that they count on. Maybe some external suppliers as well. So create a company, essentially a mini company inside of a company, a product organization out of an organization. So in this case, we have a product portfolio, which is infrastructure, and we have multiple solutions. We have product lines and products. Okay? So a solution is nothing more than a bundling of different products across the portfolio. But you put them together, and they're targeting a particular market segment. So in this case, app servers is where we were the last 5 years. That's targeting folks that want to deploy on JBoss and WebSphere. Okay? But the new world is we want to go into cloud, containers. So we have another solution. We have two. And the other one, we actually want to get rid of the building deployment completely. We want to automate the whole thing, end to end. We wanted self-service. Development teams up in the lines of business can monitor and service, help themselves. They're their own support. We're getting out of the business. We have a different business to be in. So we're absorbing teams from operations into infrastructure because the product management team sees value in including them. And then we have product managers, right? That's what these little icons are. Somebody should be the head of the product. One person. Not two, not a committee. Decision by committee, no. And I got to speed up. Sorry. So what does it look like on a calendar basis? All right, so you got the strategic stuff, and you have the tactical stuff. So we have product reviews, we have CRM, we have focus groups. So in other words, I could have special focus groups if I have teams aligned, like, for example, what we do is product lines. We meet with all the customers, which are developers, around tools. And we meet with all the customers around frameworks. And we do it monthly. We have product reviews monthly. Executive sponsors, stakeholders, all those folks are in the room. It's a two-way conversation. Maybe they know something they need to tell the product managers. The product managers need to tell them stuff too. This is what we did the last 30 days because we do it monthly. And here's where we're going. Anything we want to do to change that? Okay. This is how you get alignment. If you have your portfolio review, great. I suggest quarterly. CRM, the customer advisory boards, these are for your CIO type folks. They're the buyers or the influencers of their development teams in their lines of business. So you should meet with them. You should look at your roadmaps together. Say, oh, well, this doesn't align. Work it out, right? And you should do the same thing with CTO, by the way. Don't forget CTO, your technical folks, architecture. Strategic planning, a couple times a year. Get your product management team, send them off somewhere. Let them dream big, think big stuff. Okay? And now we have demand management, demand planning. You're trying to figure out, how can I optimize the demand hitting all of my teams, supply and demand, right? Do that weekly or every other week. And then I put this here on purpose. And don't forget your teams. They're delivering stuff all the time. These are releases. So in our product reviews, every month we actually show these as boxes, and we list each of the strategic goals as a color, and the boxes are colored because they're the ones that align to the strategic goals. So now our executives and our stakeholders and our important customers can see we have a strategic direction and we're realizing it month by month. This is a cadence. Right? Now, you don't want this. Remember waterfall, we would have all of this right here at the end. There would be nothing there. Right? Now, if we go to safe, we would have it all at the quarters. Okay. Bunch of white space in between. And if you go to Scrum, 1 to 4 weeks, you could see where the weekends are. Right? But you want to release things all the time, on demand. Call your product manager over when you're done with something, when your team is done with something, and have them give feedback right then. And if it's good enough, tell your product managers to push it to production. Professional services, if you want people to adopt, right, the slide before, we have 96% on the decline of the product lifecycle for the one solution. We're introducing the second solution, we have 4%. Professional services team could go help all of those adopters, help them get up to speed and running as fast as possible. And you can rotate that, that's fine. Those are your experts from all your teams. Marketing communications, I think you were talking about DevOps and how do you communicate that. Create a website, just like you're a company. Create an internal website for your products. Have a products drop down and solutions. Have it where your teams can go get anything they need for any of your products. They can find it. And lastly, it's not on here, create a product management library if you do nothing else, because people come and go. Your products remain. If a product manager moves on and you bring somebody new to the team, they should have a place they can go and they can see all the documentation and get up to speed really, really quickly. And they can say, I know why this product is in the current state. I know what things they thought about in the past and why they decided to either do them or not do them. I have all that documentation. Put it on a wiki. You can restrict the pages, that's okay. And inside of that, now back to the website and back to our customers, internal developers finding the documentation. Inside of it, have documentation aligned with each of the products. And that's where your product development teams make it a part of their definition of done. I'm not going to accept this thing you're saying is done unless it's documented. All right? See, now the onus is on them. They have to create tutorials or videos or API documentation, FAQs, whatever the case may be. They own it. Show it where it is and tell them to own it. Let them grow up. It's okay. All right. So key takeaways. I got to be quick. So don't be a victim of process theater. Right? Recognize Agile for what it is. It's great. Agile is great. Today's Agile isn't so great. So recognize the limitations of it. It's just a tool, just like Lean is a tool. Your biggest competitive advantage is time. Become product-centric and create a product organization, right? Exploit your market opportunities. Diversify your risk. Be like a venture capitalist. Your product management team should have to justify ongoing investments, right? Just like companies that get funded by VC firms should do the same. And lastly, start now. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect, so don't even try. Don't spend years in a transformation and say, oh, well, that's it. We figured it out. All of us traditional Taylorism type people figured it out. That's the way we're going to be Agile. No, just start today. And improve over time. It'll get better. Thank you.